9:35, everybody. And now that the U.S. Surgeon General has made it clear that warning labels should be placed on social media platforms, it's up to Congress to make that actually happen.
Yeah, but it might take a while before social media regulation is passed. So here to discuss how we can get Congress to act is founder of Mothers Against Media Addiction, Julie Scelfo. So good morning, Julie, and thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So the Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, is really pushing to make this happen. But of course, the tech companies are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure it doesn't. So how long do you think it'll be before we actually see these warnings in place?
You know, kids are addicted to their screens, and the harms are clear. Last year, 4 children died after an electric skateboard came on the market, and they immediately recalled it. We have had dozens of children die, maybe hundreds, over the last 10 years from an array of harms, and we need to know, parents need to know that there are risks. So Congress may take their time, but the most important thing is that the Surgeon General issued this warning and began the process of making sure parents understand how dangerous social media can be.
But do you think, when you look at it, that a warning label for social media is really going to be a deterrent? This is just real talk, a deterrent for children at all? Or are they just going to bypass that and keep doing what they're doing?
You know, the warning labels aren't really for kids, they're for parents. I know a lot of us, myself included, didn't really realize the risks when we gave these devices to our children. We allowed them to sign up for these apps, but these apps weren't designed to be educational. They weren't designed to make kids healthy. All they were designed for is for addiction. And now we're seeing that children have an array of mental health problems. So the reason this message is so important from the Surgeon General, just like cigarettes, it's the first step in making sure everyone's aware that these are seriously dangerous products.
And you see things on different social media apps where it says 13 years old or older that can actually be a part of the app. But obviously that's not enough. And then you see people introducing apps or even games in schools like Roblox and using it. So it's like you kind of have to throw your hands up in the air and say, how are we ever going to stop this?
We can't throw our hands up in the air. These are our children, and we need to make sure our children are free to grow up in a healthy way. So schools should absolutely not be using social media to teach or encouraging their children, their students to go on social media, because once they do, they've introduced an array of risks, from content about self-harm to fentanyl sales to pro-suicide content, body image issues. It's really dangerous. Even bullying is something that we've seen really increase since the advent of social media. So there are 1,000 ways to teach children all the things they need to learn without the use of screens. They don't need to be using social media or games in classrooms.
And the teachers are going to argue and say, but that's the new way we're doing things to keep people involved and interested in the lesson plan. So is there a happy medium where you are using the device in a good way to help people learn rather than just the social media component? If you take away that and you have just the digital component.
There are absolutely occasions when it's necessary and appropriate to introduce children to technology. And media literacy education is really important. But what we're seeing now is there's an addiction to media in our society, and we're on screens so much, and children are spending so much time on screens that it's actually displacing the other things they need to learn to grow up healthy. We know what the basic building blocks are for social, emotional, and academic health, and none of those come from screens. So it's really important, I think, for schools, parents, teachers, all of us, to heed the Surgeon General's warning, step back, reduce the time our children are spending on screens, and make sure they are getting all the other things they need to be healthy, like outdoor play, time spent reading, writing, and interacting with their peers.
And now we're heading into summer vacation. So as parents, what would you recommend to parents to try to keep our kids busy besides just going outside? Because sometimes, especially this week, it's so extremely hot outside that we can't send our kids outside. What would you say to parents about keeping them away?
So humans for millennia have been figuring out things to do without the screens, and sometimes we forget that, myself included. I've got 3 kids, and there are times it just feels easier to plop them in front of a screen, but there's a million creative activities they can do. Kids can do chores, which is important for learning. They can cook, they can do crafts, they can roller skate, they can build forts, tents. There's so many things that they can do.
Yeah, so, and what do you say then to parents who are looking at other parents who aren't following that, right? And so you as the parent are watching your kids' friends using a device, and then your kids are saying to you, well, why can't I use a device? How come they're not?
There's
so it's this
pressure.
Collective kind of conversation that needs to happen, and then the parent caves into the pressure of, well, it's just one day.
It's absolutely the hardest thing in the world, and I know I have felt that same pressure too, but I think what's happening is we're realizing as parents, we need to stand up for what's best for our children. We need to tolerate our kids complaining when they say, oh, I'm the last kid in the whole state who doesn't have a phone. Say, yes, you're the last kid in the whole state who doesn't have a device, and delay, delay, delay. The longer we can delay their access to devices and to social media, the more time we can give their brains and bodies to learn and how to be healthy, learn how to interact with other people, look folks in the eye. These are critical skills that every human needs to grow up healthy. So I think all of us as parents need to stand up and be the first ones in our groups to say, you know what? My house is going to be a screen-free place. My apartment is going to be a place where kids play board games. Maybe they all watch a movie together, so they're all sharing one screen. They're not on their individual devices. And we can all make the change together. That's what we're doing at Mama.
All right. Stick together. Stand strong. All right, Julie, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for
Great
having me.
advice.